Good morning, afternoon, or evening, everybody. This is Mr. Mott going to go over our labs about how we mix equal and unequal amounts of hot and cold water. Exciting stuff. Alright, so first thing you want to do, you want to make sure that you have your CBL all hooked up, and you're going to have two temperature probes this time. Okay? We're going to open up our application Logger Pro 3. I'll show you what that screen looks like here in a little bit. And then what you're also going to do while this is opening up and setting everything up, you're going to get two cups. Alright, so we've got equal amounts. We're going to start out with equal amounts of hot and cold water. Cold water is just going to come out of the sink. Hot water is going to come out of a big hot water heater in the center lab station. Okay, you're going to get equal amounts. Doesn't really matter how much, as long as you don't go over, I think it's about 80 milliliters. Okay, because these cups aren't big enough to hold more than twice that. Okay, and you got your two temperature probes. Once you open up, it should actually go right to the correct page here, what we want, and so to figure out on your screen, you're going to notice that there's two temperature probes. Okay, I'll show you what that looks like here. There's two temperature probes, you can see there, and one is red and one is blue. If you're really concerned about which one is which, you can hold on to it with your hand, and now evidently I'm holding the blue one, so I can put that in my cold water if I want. Okay. Alright, it doesn't matter too much. So I'm going to put my temperature probes in here, and I'm going to let these equilibrate, okay, which means I'm going to let them get to the temperature of whatever that water is, and they're in the beakers so that they don't tip over, okay, and even though it's in the beakers, this one kind of wants to, so I'm going to kind of watch it. Alright, now I'm going to let these equilibrate, and then once they get to a stable temperature on the screen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit that green button which says collect. Okay, so I'm going to start collecting my data, and on the screen you're going to have two different lines going across. Alright, now what you should have already done, based upon the initial temperatures, mine was reading at 23 and at 46 degrees. What would you predict the final temperature to be? Do you think it's the average of the temperatures? Do you think it's kind of closer to the hot water, or closer to the cold water when you mix them? Okay. Once you have made that and you've let the two screens going across, you're going to mix them together. Okay. And so you can just pour one into the other and then move. All right. Pour that together, and I've moved so that both my temperature probes are in the same water now. Okay, and I'm doing that because sometimes the temperature probes will read differently, and then in my final temperature that the screen says, if they're different for the temperature probes, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and average those numbers. Okay. What's going to happen on your graph is that the two lines, they started out going separately across, they're going to meet together for the final temperature. Once they meet together, you can stop your trial, and then you're going to go ahead and print out however many copies there are for each person in your group. Okay, so let's say in the first one, and then you'll do an additional trial of this. If you maybe did 50 milliliters of hot and 50 milliliters of cold, then you do a different amount. Maybe you do 75 milliliters of hot, 75 of cold. Okay. And so you'll do an additional trial to gather more data to see if your predictions are kind of true. Okay. When you do the unequal amounts of hot and cold water, you might do, it's the same procedure, same lab setup, except for you're going to do maybe 50 of hot and 100 of cold. Okay. Then you might do, say, 75 cold or 75 hot, and then 100 cold. So do different amounts of unequal, but you'll do two trials where you have more hot water, and then two trials where you have more cold water, but you'll have different amounts. Okay, and then all four of those graphs should look a little bit different from each other. All right. Thanks very much for watching.